And now I call us back into this common space called Sacred Among Us. This is a time that is holy and revered and honored by so many different traditions. Ones that perhaps we grew up in, or that we still have a relationship with, or still deeply practice, or that our neighbors follow and engage with, friends and family. Reverend Sophia Lyon-Faz in the poem we heard said that each night a child is born is a holy night, a time for singing, a time for wondering, a time for worshiping. And today is such a holy day. And even in this digital form, it is very good to be with you. From the sacred lights of Hanukkah, which literally is the festival of dedication, to the lights of Kwanzaa, to unfolding Advent, to the soon approaching dark night solstice and sacred Christmas Eve, we are in a celebrated, engaging, rededicated month, one that invites contemplation and space for us to consider how are we going to be with each other. Unitarian Universalists famously sometimes resist traditions, but I think there is a great deal of power in giving certain times of year, space, and place and time to engage with ancient stories, whether they are from our tradition or one that we struggle with. Because in our Unitarian Universalist faith, we say every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. Because of that, we seek wisdom from the world's spiritual traditions. And in those traditions, we encounter stories of compassion, cultivation, and transformation. Our Unitarian ancestors from Eastern Europe, from India, from Ireland, from South Africa, from the United Kingdom, affirm again and again and again, you are holy. You deserve a second chance. Your life is sacred and your story is not over. In 19th century language, Unitarians would preach, revelation is not sealed. There are more holy books to be written. There are more holy books to be written. In our community, we unite in the search for truth and the universal spirit of love. We seek and respect wisdom from multiple spiritual traditions, and we're united in wonder before that which is greater and we are dependent on. We celebrate rituals and holidays to mark the seasons of life. We affirm that every person has value, and we act in this world like so many in this congregation and so many different spaces and places on the island show up to do. We discern and decide as a group how our local congregation can be governed. As Unitarian Universalists, we commit and associate with a wider community of religiously pluralist congregations around the world, joining in partnership with Unitarians and Universalists from South Africa to Eastern Europe. We say the holy is not only in our religion, but with all people of goodwill, seeking wisdom and practicing compassion in difficult times. Tonight, all over this beautiful and painful world, diverse Jewish families will light a candle and return to mark the time of the festival of Hanukkah. The writer Shoshana Cordova shares that literally the word Hanukkah comes from the Hebrew word for dedication or consecration or inauguration. While in America, usually this festival is called the Festival of Lights, literally it's a festival about the rededication of the temple after a terrible civil war in which there was so much cruelty and violence. And the rabbi's tradition says did not want to affirm violence as holy or the war or the winners of the war as holy. What they wanted to affirm was the possibility of starting over, of a rededication. So the festival is not praising the Maccabees as holy exemplars, the festival is the faithfulness required to light candles after the war is over, to recommit and create a pathway for something better to happen than what has been. And for me, that holding the tension, the reality that something terrible has happened, and also there's a possibility that something new can begin, I think is at the heart of so many of the stories that we encounter in December. I have a growing appreciation for all those who say that we can re-engage and reimagine and take these ancient stories and put them into dialogue with what is happening in our world right now. I think some of the bravest people are those who try to find ways to work with those in profound disagreement, yet still move toward life. Over the last few years, in the face of the ongoing conflict and war and genocide in Gaza and the taking of hostages and the murder of so many people in Israel, I have been awed by the work of the Parent Circle, which is a group of Israelis and Palestinians who, over the last 30 years, have lost loved ones in this conflict, in this ongoing decades-long conflict. And even though they each have lost siblings, brothers, mothers, parents due to violence from extremists, they've committed to working together to try to create spaces and forums where Palestinians and Israelis will get to know one another and create the seedling of an alternative future. And they're profoundly clear-eyed people. They're very sober. They know the violence, the political power, the money invested in continuing conflict and war. Yet they also, again and again, say we have to choose a different path. We have to rededicate ourselves and the lives that we have to creating an alternative. And I think about that example because so much of what is happening in our wider world at this moment is one that encourages us to become cynical or to become disengaged. I think the most profound temptation for many people in the United States right now is to say, things are bad. I'm just going to kind of duck and cover and hope this goes away. And that is an evil temptation. It may be understandable, but what I've seen, even just in small, kind, profound gestures, is the healing that comes when people dedicate themselves to actually caring for their neighbors and for one another, for checking in on the person who is more homebound, for making a phone call, for showing up in the cold weather and finding out who needs a coat and how can we share it. There's something healing that comes from the act of engagement with the world, of rededication after the violence, after the trauma. Our practices and habits as Unitarian Universalists are different than they once were, but they are beautiful and diverse because of the decisions of thousands of families to transform and live into our faith. Once upon a time, Unitarian tradition in the US was predominantly a liberal Christian or humanist tradition, which in an academic way affirmed that we could learn from many world traditions, but didn't spiritually engage with these stories as much. But after World War II, after the trauma of that war, all around the world, families began to form that were interfaith, where people had different heritages and yet united and created new families and ways of being. And when they joined our tradition, they asked us to find ways to honor their heritage, their stories, to incorporate Jewish tradition and ritual within to the life of Unitarian Universalist congregations, to engage Buddhist tradition, not from an academic level, but from a practice level of meditation and calm. After the trauma, people found one another, created new families, and then sought places to be interfaith in their real life, not from an academic way, but from a healing, spiritual, connecting way. There's nothing that said in 1900 that our Unitarian Church of Staten Island would have on its walls icons from the world's religions hanging behind the pulpit. But over time, people saw something beautiful in the practitioners of each of these traditions, of our family members, and sought to find a way to say that sacred scripture is broad and big and can hold all of us, and that we can learn from Christian gospel stories and stories of rededication of the temple. We can learn from medieval poetry and ancient songs. We can encounter meditative practice and grow in the circle of care and concern. I say this because I think, especially in a time when it is easy to disconnect, we need to remember that we have grown and changed and developed new muscles as a people of faith before. And sometimes these new habits have come after horrific experiences. But we can grow and form ways of healing and care and connection. I have been profoundly humbled by the work that I've seen many in our congregation do, both just to be simple, kind, decent, and good neighbors, and also to be bold and brave and organized in political spaces on streets and in neighborhoods. Our faith in every person having dignity, in every night being a holy night, is made real by the choices you make to practice it, to seek the truth in the universal spirit of love is not a small choice in 2025. But what a healing and transformative one that brings people together, that asks us to imagine a different way of being neighborly, not at a distance, but up close. In our world, in our city, in our movement, there are many opportunities to choose to affirm that every person has dignity. I have never doubted the healing that comes from when we make that choice. I have regrets from when I leaned away from the fullness of our faith. When I think about Larry, who I only met once, and from the stories I've heard, he was someone who loved theater and saw the transformative power of the arts and the tool of humor in bringing people together in their stories and struggles. And to me, that's a testament to a faith that sees every night as holy and every person as sacred. To me, our tradition is beautiful because you can keep growing and changing your spiritual identity and still be welcome in our sanctuary. You can be a hardcore atheist who turns into a deeply devout Buddhist and still be welcome and still be celebrated at coffee hour and still be invited to serve on committees and care for the grounds of our congregation and still be loved. Because for us, it's not the creed, it's not the words, but it's you that matter. And when we live into that, we interact with the world differently. Louis Latmire, of blessed memory, was a amazing inventor, a poet, an electrical engineer, a proud Black New Yorker, and a proud Unitarian. He was one of the founding members of the Unitarian Church in Flushing. He wrote a poem called Love is All that to me, I think speaks to so much of what all the different traditions in December are pointing at. And especially in this season of electric lights and electric menorahs and Christmas trees and all the beautiful bulbs, I think it is fitting that we lift up Lewis, who did so much work in electrical engineering and made the light bulb really accessible on a mass level through the Edison Company. Latmire's poem is, what is there in this world besides our love to keep us here? Ambition's course is paved with hopes deferred, with doubt and fear. Wealth brings no joy, and brazen-throated fame leaves us at last naught but an empty name. O soul, receive the truth, ever heaven sends thy recall. Naught here deserves our thought but love, but love. For love is all. May we live into the truth that every night is a holy night. And may we live our lives in ways that honor each unfolding season. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, happy snowy Sunday. And in that unfolding spirit of affirmation and possibility, we sing our final hymn, People Look East. The author of this hymn is the same author who wrote Morning Has Broken.
Oh, that's interesting. Great. Yes. People look east, the time is near of the crowning of the year. Make your house fair as you are able. Trim the hearth and set the table. People look east and sing today. Love, the guest is on the way. Furrows be glad, though earth is bare. One more seed is planted there. Give up your strength, the seed to nourish. That in course the flower may flourish. But look east and sing today. Love, the rose is on the way. Stars keep the watch when night is dim, and one light the bowl shall brim, shining beyond the frosty weather, bright as sun and moon together. People look east and sing today. Love, the star is on the way.
Thank you, Reverend Daniel. Thank you, Kevin and Carolyn. Reverend Daniel, I thought it was great. I was focused on your sermon. So many mentions of light. I didn't even notice when I looked out the window when you were done. The sun is just very, very bright. It almost blinded my eyes, reflecting off the snow. So that's pretty cool. It happened sometime when you were speaking. So now is a time when we extinguish our chalice. We remember that love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And now I invite you to join me in extinguishing our chalice. You can find the affirmation in our order of service. I almost want to do something cheesy. If anyone wants to unmute, we were trying to not do that so the singing wouldn't. But I don't know. Let's try it. If people want to unmute and say the words with me, we'll see. We'll see how bad it sounds. We don't have to do it ever again. So we extinguish the
flame at the light warmth of
warmth of
community
community
or the fire of
commitment.
for these
These
very
very
hearts
hearts
until we
we
are
are
together
together
again.
We are together.
It sounded bad, oh, like audibly, but it sounded good to hear your voices. So I think it's a win altogether.
I agree.
Oh, that's beautiful. Ibn al-Arabi said, I follow the way of love, and where love's caravan takes its place, there is my religion and my faith. So may we be attentive to the way of love, the way of kindness, the way of compassion and second chances. And may we be attentive to this unfolding season and the possibilities it brings. May it be so.
May it be so.
And You Got a Friend is the perfect song to lead us into our virtual coffee hour. So please stay if you'd like, or if not, have a great sunny, snowy day. And thanks for joining us.
I would just like